Now, there's some breaking news about Boris Johnson's condition. Our health correspondent, Victoria McDonald, is here. Victoria, what more can you tell us?
Yes, we have just been told by Downing Street that the Prime Minister has now been moved to intensive care, that his condition has worsened. Now, they have gone to great odds to say that this is a precaution should he require ventilation to aid his recovery. So that is slightly good news that he's not currently being ventilated, but it is, we had been told that he'd been put into hospital on Sunday as a precaution because he had this persistent high fever, although some people were saying he was still coughing as well. And it must be said, as Gary pointed out earlier in the programme, he wasn't looking very well as time had gone on. Now, they've said the Prime Minister has also asked the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, who is the first Secretary of State, to deputise for him. They go on to say he's at St Thomas's Hospital, just across the river from Downing Street, that the Prime Minister is receiving excellent care, and he thanks all the NHS staff, but his condition has worsened. Let's talk to our political editor, Gary Gibbon. Gary, you heard the news just now as well. What's your reaction? What will the reaction be in the high circles of government?
At the high circles of government, there will be a feeling that the biggest decisions of this crisis lie in the immediate future. That's not just how the government rides the storm of the height of the crisis in terms of the number of deaths, but how you work out the exit strategy. That is a monumental piece of work, and it's very hard to achieve that in government unless you have decisions taken right at the top, which are an incredible call to make on the exit strategy, and doing that without the guy who's meant to be in charge at the top could make an extraordinarily difficult decision, even more testing.
How much shock was there in Downing Street, as far as you can gather, that he had to be moved into intensive care? Because, of course, we were told by Dominic Raab just this afternoon that he was in good spirits and genuinely kind of getting on with it.
The suggestion is that his condition worsened in the afternoon. I think you could tell, though, that Dominic Raab himself hadn't spoken to the Prime Minister since Saturday, so he wasn't directly in the picture like some people. It might be that there was a little bit more readiness for this kind of thing amongst those who were very close to the Prime Minister.
OK. Victoria, just one more to you. I mean, to do well and then not to do so well and then to get worse, that's quite usual with this disease, isn't it?
We are seeing that in some conditions, and in fact I interviewed somebody last week who said he'd felt he was recovering and then he'd deteriorated to the point that he'd had to go into hospital. So this is not unusual, and I think we do need to take heart right at the moment from the fact that although he is in intensive care, he isn't on ventilation, because that really does make it much more serious.
OK, Victoria McDonald, Gary Gibbon, thank you very much indeed. Gary, I think we can go back to you for a little bit longer. You've got something else to add, apparently.
Just to say that, following on from what Victoria was saying, yeah, it doesn't appear as though he is using ventilators at the moment, and he is conscious, we are told. So we can't prejudge these things. It might be, as they're saying, precautionary, or it might be that they're shielding us from a little bit of information they are just too alarmed to share at the moment. But that is not the line from Downing Street. It is that we are still not at the extreme case of using a ventilator yet, as Victoria said.
So just to be clear, he's not on a ventilator, but he is in ICU. Is he getting oxygen? Do we know that?
I'm afraid we don't have that detail at the moment. He only went there at 7 o'clock, we think.
So this is just another... Victoria, just finally and briefly, give us some sort of understanding in 20 seconds of what happens now.
What happens now is that they will monitor his condition very carefully. He will be near all the machines you need, the ventilators, the kidney support machine, and so on. But it is precautionary. Precautionary.
So the next 24 hours are going to be absolutely crucial, aren't they?
Well, I would say the next few hours.
The next few hours?
24 hours, because this is a disease that can move very fast.
OK. Victoria McDonald, Gary Gibbon, thank you very much indeed to both of you. And in the last few minutes, the breaking news from Downing Street said that Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab would deputise where necessary, while the Prime Minister is now in intensive care with COVID-19. Number 10 spokesman said, since Sunday evening, the Prime Minister has been under the care of doctors at St Thomas's Hospital in London, after being admitted with persistent symptoms of coronavirus. Over the course of this afternoon, the condition of the Prime Minister has worsened, and on the advice of his medical team, he has been moved to the intensive care unit at St Thomas's Hospital. The Prime Minister has asked Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, who is the first Secretary of State, to deputise for him where necessary.